Yeah, I don't
Nice.
care.
Well, thanks. All right. Well, then let's dive in, shall we?
All right.
All right. Hey, so the last time we were chatting, I had gotten to observe in your classroom for a while, and you had talked about wanting to really work on student engagement as a big piece to the work that you were doing along with your co-teacher.
Uh-huh.
So I had my notes talked about your plan is that A, the collaboration piece with the co-teacher, and B, really implementing some new ways to engage your students, thinking about group size, thinking about um, the assignments themselves and how we could modify them or differentiate them in ways to better suit the variety of needs in your group. So
Yeah.
what's going on? What's going well?
So we always meet before the kids get on every morning from 8:50 to 9. But obviously that's only like a 10-minute period. So we have we talk constantly. We're friends outside of work, so that makes it, super easy for collaboration. But we have started to Zoom on Sundays when we have time to just kind of get together and figure out how the week is going to go. We also she shares her lesson plans with me so that I can put the stuff that we're doing together in my lesson plans, because my lesson plans were just focusing on what I was doing in the resource setting.
Mhm.
And so I don't know if I have sharing rights or not, but if you wanted me to, I could share that so that you could just kind of see how it looks.
Now you have sharing rights. Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay. So let's see. Let me get to it here. Here it is. Okay. So go back here and share. Okay, so these are what my lesson plans look like. And so I've actually revamped them yesterday a little bit to fit what I wanted it to look like. So I have what I do for reading with the 3rd and 4th grade reading here, and then I have a State reading here. And so it goes down and shows everything that we do. We're working with grade level curriculum, the MyView grade level curriculum, and Achieve, which is the tier 3 program that they use. And so we're using both of those. And then I've actually been pulling the My Focus piece of the MyView curriculum, which is what Hazelwood has purchased. And I've been using that in the resource setting. So you can see on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I focus on that. I do those lessons, and it's those lessons follow the 5 pillars of reading. So it really helps with the like phonics piece that my kids need, or the decoding piece that my kids need, things like that. It really aligns with their goals well, and it provides a ton of resources and lessons. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, I do the novel study to where they're getting the comprehension piece and all that. But anyway, so I've been able to take resources from what we've been doing in our co-teaching setting and use them in my resource setting as well, which has been really great. So that's how my lesson plans look and how we've kind of collaborated and brought things together that way. We also started using a new, let me go to it here. A new, I have it in here, thing for the kids to interact on. So like something that I use in my classroom, and so did Miss Tuggle, is whiteboards. We use whiteboards all the time, which obviously we can't do that. So she found this whiteboard. It's literally like a virtual whiteboard.
I'm looking at the title. So it was whiteboard FFI.
Whiteboard.fi.
So a virtual whiteboard.
Yeah, so this is like the code for the room that I did this morning with my kids. So this is like my whiteboard, so I can write on mine and they can see it. And then they put in the code, and these are all their whiteboards that I can see exactly what they're writing.
So with this particular strategy, if I'm understanding you correctly, you display yours at the top, but then you have access to see each and every one of theirs at the bottom of your
Right.
screen in real time. like as
Right.
they're
So
writing.
yeah, so what we did today is we were doing plurals. So like I would come up here and I could write, the word dog, and okay, we're gonna make this word plural. What do we do? And they'll say, oh, well, we add an S. And so then I would say, okay, guys, I want to see that on yours. And so they could type it, they could write it. So and then I also asked them to come up with their own words. So I had a child that came up with pencils and cups and all that kind of stuff. So I can see what they're doing, and then I can show them how to use these tools because they can see my whiteboard. So I can show them how to erase and all that kind of stuff. So it's like an interactive digital whiteboard, just like what we would be doing in the classroom to keep their engagement and make sure that they're following along and I can see it.
That's exciting. That was a
Yeah,
big
so
piece of what we talked about.
we started using this today and it was awesome. And this is like an awesome thing. It's got math inserts, it's got emojis, it's got music stuff. I mean, this could be used across the board for so many teachers. Grids for graphs, you can insert pictures and just all kinds of things. So it's really, really interactive and really keeps the kids engaged. I noticed that the entire time my kids were following along and doing every word that we were talking about, with the exception of they were occasionally getting pulled out to do a cold read with Miss Tuggle. So obviously when they were gone, they were gone. But then when they came back in, it was so easy for them to get right back into what we were doing because they could see my board, but they could also see other kids' boards to make sure that they were on the right track.
And that's huge. That piece that you brought up, there were kind of two pieces to that. A, what we talked about last time was that idea of how do I keep all of my kids focused in on this lesson? I want to see what they're doing. I want to see evidence of their work, make sure we're on the right track. And this is one strategy that you're finding works very, very well. You can see it as you scroll down. I could tell how many kids were in your group just by the number of whiteboards that I could see.
Yeah. And some of the kids had cleared their whiteboards before we left left class for the day. So that's why they're blank. But
sure.
And the only thing I haven't figured out yet is so I exited out of it, and when I came back in, it was on the same kiddos. So I'm gonna use maybe close the room probably. I'm gonna figure out how to close out these kids, and because let me try it right now. Because all I have to do to open it is so it closed it out, and then I just go back to the main page, and I click new. And I'll put my name in. And once I do that and I click create a new class, then it sends me a code and I just send that code or that link to the kids that I want to get on. So if I'm not in Tuggle's class anymore, but I want to use this tool with my writing kids or whatever, then I just send them the code like in the Google Meet chat or whatever. And then they're able to get into it and it's a fresh new one. So
now, can you tell if this is going to save your class? So like I see that you have add a new class, but have the class you just had. I guess that might be a future question, but you may not need it.
I don't know. Yeah. I didn't write down the code, but yeah, if I wrote down the codes, then yes, I could just go to join a class and put in that code. So that's something that I can work on is creating the classes, so creating my math class, my writing class, Tuggles class, all that, and writing down the codes so that when next day when I do want to go back into it and have those same whiteboards, especially if they have something on the whiteboards that they didn't erase, then you can go back in and see it.
So really this one strategy is serving two purposes then. You're keeping students engaged in the lesson. You're also kind of giving them a preview as to what might be happening the next day because they can always go back and access. It's kind of this idea of tomorrow we can build off of this skill. And then when tomorrow comes, hey, we can go back and review what we did before because we still have your work available to us.
Yeah. And this is free. I didn't even have to sign up with my email or anything. It's just when I went to the whiteboard.fi, this is what pops up for everyone.
So that's pretty darn exciting.
Super easy.
I may have to share this resource out. Just saying.
Yeah.
This was really a pretty good one.
Yeah, my co-teacher is the one who found it, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool.
That's pretty exciting. So let me ask you this then. So one of the questions that I had, although I heard you kind of already touching on it, was this idea of whenever you start a new topic, whether it be an academic topic or a new routine or a new strategy, typically we have to teach our students how to use it, like what your
Yeah.
expectations are, what's the flow, what's the procedure.
Yeah.
And it sounds like for the students you're working with, at least with this particular strategy, you mentioned they were able to leave, like go do their read with their teacher and come back and hop right back in. So what
Uh-huh.
were some of the things that you had to specifically do or teach or model? I heard you say things like, I had to model the eraser. I showed them how to do it. They can
Yeah.
see it.
So
How did that
at
work?
first, so I was learning it as well because I did not know about it either. So, okay, so I'll create a new one and just kind of, so the kids, as they were getting logged on, some kids in our class can navigate things a lot quicker than other kids. And so then they get on quicker than some of the other kids. So while we were waiting for everybody to get logged on, we told them to play with it. Okay, so this is where you copy it to the clipboard, and then I would go put that in the chat.
The chat. Yep.
And as I do that, whiteboards would start showing up down here. So I didn't realize at first, so all their whiteboards started showing up, and I was like, okay, guys, go ahead and play around with it, start drawing, practice with the tools, that kind of thing. And as we were getting ready to go, and like, there's the room code. As we were getting ready to go for our lesson, I said, okay, guys, clear your boards. And I had a couple of kids that weren't sure how to do it. So the other students, this was before I realized what this bar was for. So the other students, I said, well, I can't see your tools, so I need you guys to help each other out. A couple of other students said there's a reset button, there's an eraser button, that kind of thing. They were able to help each other figure it out. As I was teaching, I was like, okay, I'm afraid to touch too many buttons while I'm teaching because I don't want to ruin this, but let me see what this does. And so I touched this, clicked it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have my own whiteboard. Here's all the tools. And in the meantime, Miss Tuggle went in as a student so that she could see the tools to help the kids. But once I figured this out, and I figured it out right there in front of the kids, you know, like I said, I didn't know about it beforehand. I was like, oh my gosh, guys, look, I have the same tools you do. I can write on my whiteboard, scroll down and see yours, so I can help you with the tools, that kind of thing. So it was really, it wasn't a planned thing. The whiteboard, the use of this website was, but me realizing all of the different things available was not totally planned because Ms. Tuggle didn't tell me about it ahead of time, which is fine. It was an opportunity for me to learn with the kids and you know, show it right along there with them and play with it and stuff. So, which I personally think is better when I'm learning with the kids and showing things that I'm learning as they are learning it too. I feel like it's more beneficial because it's not just me talking at them. Do this, do this, do this. It's me like, hey guys, let's see what this button does. Oh, this is what this means, you know, that kind of thing. It's where I can see it, do it with them and explain what it means. And that's just I guess one of the ways that I teach is that I really try to learn alongside of them.
There's a word for that, Sarah Pate. Do you know what that word is?
I don't know.
You probably heard it. I know. It's that metacognitive piece.
Yeah.
And that's a huge piece. That is a huge piece. When you talk about high yield strategies and best practices, that metacognitive piece is way, way up there.
Yeah.
That way students can see, can listen, can understand that it's not just them who might be in the dark. These are your this is how you're problem solving because we don't have all the answers.
Right. And I think that's important for their confidence too. To realize that just because I'm your teacher does not mean that I know everything. You know, and there's a lot of times that you might ask me a question that I don't know the answer to. We're going to figure it out together, or I'm going to do my best to find the answer and let you know, kind of thing. Hey, please stop. And so that's something that I have always kind of done as a teacher because I feel like it's already intimidating enough when you're in the resource setting because you know that you struggle. And so for you to go and be with a teacher that just talks at you all the time and doesn't learn with you, I feel like it's even more intimidating. And so that's kind of just something that I've always done. So that's the one thing. And then the other thing that we've been using and will continue to use is the Google Jamboards. We use those a lot as like an interactive. It's almost like a Google slide and a Cami almost put together in one. So we use that a lot, and we're going to start using this whiteboard website, because it's really going to be super beneficial for the kids, I think, and they really enjoyed it too.
And new and exciting, something they could be successful with, and have some freedom. They could write, they could type. There's some flexibility. When you talked last time about differentiating like the responses or just the activities or the questions that they're answering, you now have a method where students can get on their own whiteboard and respond however is appropriate for them. And you've given them permission to do so.
Right.
And it sounds like you've really stumbled across, between the Jamboard and this new whiteboard resource, you stumbled across some activities that are very much meeting the need on the engagement side. You can see it live with the number of students actually creating their whiteboards, and you can see their responses live, which obviously tells you which direction to go.
I also like that it saves, like that with the codes being able to go back in, that it could be something that it could be a perfect way to do like an informal assessment or an exit ticket, answer such and such question on your whiteboard, leave it there, I'll go back in and check it. And then the next morning, it could be a class starter discussion piece, and then erase and move on.
Mm-hmm.
I like how that can work for it too. It literally saves it, which you can't even do that in the classroom. Whiteboards, you stack them up with an answer on them, and they're going to get erased, whether you like it or not.
One would hope, or it stays on there for 4 weeks and then you can't get it off.
Yeah, either way, one or the other.
One or the other, two extremes.
So it's kind of nice that it has that piece to it too, because there's just so much I can do with it. Even as you and I are sitting here talking about it right now, I'm like, oh, I just thought of something else.
Yeah, right.
It's really been cool to explore.
So it's one activity that meets multiple needs. You started with on the engagement side, but I'm hearing that it lends itself very easily to a lot of those pieces of explicit instruction. How do I introduce a lesson by tying it to past content? How do I end my lesson by tying to future content? This is one activity that'll support that.
Yeah.
Other piece that I just heard you talk quite a bit about when you were specifically about the whiteboards, but I imagine with the Jamboard as well, is this idea of learning alongside your students. And whether it's a planned thing, or maybe you really do know how to use it, but you're pretending like you don't, and you're walking people through the thought process.
Right.
What I heard you say was, the more that you can model for the students, the more confident they are. There's that confidence piece.
Right.
But also the more successful they are with the task at hand, because they then understand the steps to complete it.
I agree. Yeah.
So it's a double whammy and a good one.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Hang on. Stop. Okay, I apologize.
Don't apologize. This is great. While you were grabbing Weston, I saw your puppies hopping on the couch and getting super comfy. I'm that's the life. That's where I want to be.
It's like a zoo around here, though. Seriously.
Hey, but you know what? You have your own children this time. Last time we talked, you were rescuing kids off the street. Remember?
It's true.
So I mean, hey,
haven't seen that child, so that's a good sign.
That's a good sign. I tell you what, Sarah Pate, never a dull moment.
No.
No, never. All right. So when we think, you do have a lot of fun. When you think about between now and before we leave, I want to make sure we have another date on the calendar. I think we do, but I want to double check. I'm hearing things like, I want to keep going with the modeling. I want to keep looking for new uses for these tools. And if and when we stumble across some additional resources to help increase engagement, there are some of these pieces of the modeling, that metacognition, that you want to make sure to very intentionally bring to the table.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah.
Would you add anything, change anything to that?
The other thing that I worked on and gotten kind of perfected, I guess. I've always used student data binders since.
I was going to ask.
Yes, so I've always used those, and I knew it was going to look different this year, but I wasn't sure how different. And so I was like, okay, do I do the whole binder? Do I not? Like, I knew I was going to have to do some of the filling in and stuff. So even though I was going to try to put it on them and have them take responsibility for their learning, it was going to look hard, be difficult. So what I did is, instead of binders, for a practical reason and for just a what if, is I'm using folders instead.
Okay.
Practical reason is because I don't have room for 10 binders. I don't have
Yep.
them.
Whether you're in the classroom or not, you may or may not have room for 10 binders.
In my classroom I had room, but in my house I don't. So I'm doing that, but let me get this.
Let me see.
Yes. So let me turn on my document camera and share my screen. Okay, so
I see Weston. Oh, no, I don't see Weston now.
You see my document camera?
I do. Well, I see a bunch of little tabs at the top.
Yeah, and it's black. Okay, see
there you
that?
go. Yep.
Okay, so this is how I have it set up. So I have graphs for a reading. So this is the part where they would take responsibility for their learning. Now, obviously, I'm doing the graphing, but I'm showing it to them as I'm showing it to you. So we graph a reading, and we also will graph our progress monitoring on here. So like I would put PM and the date through all of these, and then when it's winter, then I'll put winter, and then we'll go from there.
Oh, so your benchmark assessments, you mean we'll go to like progress monitoring and then like a screening?
Yeah, so Gotcha. This is a screening when it just has the date.
I see.
Are you upset? My goodness. Yeah, so this is a screening, and then when it's a progress monitoring, I would put PM with and show those scores so that I know that's why the scores may look different.
Okay.
And then when it's a regular screening, then I won't put PM. So that's
Gotcha.
kind of how I know what it's supposed to look like. And then I graph sight words. So when they know sight words, and this I had to tweak a little bit because I only went up to 100 on my chart, and I had some kids that went past that. This is one of my lower kids. He's actually about to be self-contained, but so when they did go past 100, I just filled it all the way up and put the same date here and filled it, this would be 200, blah, 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 and went from there.
Okay.
And then I also graph a math the same way I graph a reading. So they'll get monitoring dates, and then, get their winter, progress monitor, spring, and go on.
So keeping it visual and keeping it as much as a shared ownership is important to you, and this is the way to do it while we're virtual. Yep. Very.
And at my old job, because I was in the co-teach setting, I had kids that didn't even know they had an IEP. And I would say, I need to get this stuff for your IEP, or I need you to send this home, take this home to mom. They'd be like, "What's an IEP? What are you
talking about?"
And so, because they didn't leave the room to get their services, because I was right there. And so I would just tell them, "Oh, it's paperwork that helps you learn." And we left it at that. But my kids at Arrow Point, they know that they have an IEP because they leave the classroom and they come to me, and that's fine. So I go through their goals with them. I'm real with them. This is what we're working on, kind of thing. I have their goals, and then these are the different data points that I use for this particular child. This is where it looks different for every child. So these first few pages are the same in every child's folder. The stuff that's following is pertaining to their goals. So he has a letter name and letter sound goal. So that's where he does this. He has, I also chart the sight words. His looks like this because he only has the 5 sight words. Other kids, I have pre-primer, primer, first, second, third, and nouns, and I have the number that they got correct.
So the data tool is modified for the need of the student.
Yes. So for my other kiddos, let's see, let me find a good example. So for this kiddo, he also has sight words, but you can see he has 312 sight words. So we had 312, and then same date to know that, and what I'll do is this is green, you can't tell because it's black and white, but I'll do a different color for the next data point.
Okay.
And then his looks like this. Pre-primer has 40 words, he got 40. Primer has 52, he got 51, and so on.
Gotcha.
And next data point for him is we'll go on to the 4th grade list, the 5th grade list, and everything like that. He also has comprehension that we'll graph, and I put this one in after the first quarter, so I'm starting this one new. So we'll keep going with that. So his looks different because of the ability level that they have. Now, if they come to a list that they have less than 80%, then I'll do another data point. So all of these lists, he's in the 90s.
Gotcha.
Stay on the 4th grade list, which he's in 4th grade. So say on the 4th grade list, he gets 80% or less, then I will put another date and I'll put lines through these, but I'll do another data point and I'll do that all the way through until he's above 80%. And that's when I'll stop assessing that one because I want them to be at least 80%. And then this kiddo, this is my most in-depth kiddo, so that's why I have so much to show. I haven't transferred this, but this is he had a goal to write his name.
Okay.
So I was going to transfer it over here, but I decided not to because he met the goal. Oh. So I'm just going to leave this in here for reference. And his new goal, I'm going to start doing his new goal on here, which is writing a sentence. And then he has number recognition. So I have these data pages, and then he has adding and subtracting. And so these are all different adding and subtracting pages. And what I do, since I have these for paper, is I'll show this to him and I will say, okay, what is 8 plus 0? And whatever he says is what I put in the box. I don't say try again. I don't say, anything like that. That's how I get the data. Unless, of course, the goal says prompting, which I think his, let me see. Yeah, his doesn't say anything about prompting. So I don't give prompts.
So you don't give prompts. So what this tells me is that a couple of things. One is that it's very important for you to have a plan. So if there's a goal, there's got to be a data source. And the data source is going to have to tie very directly to said goal. That's the second piece. There has to be a source, but we have to make sure it's aligned. So sometimes the data we have it's great data, but does it really support the goal? And for you, we need to make sure that's very clear alignment.
Right.
I'm also in my head thinking, classroom learning systems, setting those long-term goals, doing the progress monitoring as you talk about the weekly assessments or every other week or however often you do it compared to screeners. And then, of course, you have those individual data pieces that are differentiated for every single child. So it's that idea of knowing each of your students, being aware of their goals and what they're working on, and making sure you're monitoring those things specifically to that child's individual needs, all of which are hugely powerful. And you take all that and you pair it with this idea of ownership. And I think while you were showing me, I said something and you were like, absolutely, they've got to be a part of this. This is a we conversation. And so this would be my challenge question, my walk away question for you. And I ask it as a walk away question because I see that you have signed up for that CLS data systems course. I think you registered for it. I'm not sure how far along you are. I was going to check in just to see if you've even had a chance to look at all.
I haven't yet, no. I'm also in my internship for my master's, so I'm like juggling a lot of things right now.
You are juggling a lot of things right now.
I will definitely get to it. I won't neglect it.
No. You have plenty. Are you kidding me? It's not if you do till March. I bring it up, A, to make sure that you know about it. But B, the work you're doing, I mean, I would have thought you had already looked at it and kind of started to go through it because I hear you talking, the things I see you showing very much fall in line with what you're going to be learning in that course.
Right.
So here's the walk-away question, and the coursework might support you with this, but you might want to start thinking on your own and kind of seeing how your thoughts evolve over time. Is if ownership is the big key process here, and we have all the data, we know it aligns to the goals, we know it's differentiated to meet the needs of this child. In what ways is the child able to understand the data, able to interact with the data, able to say, gosh, this last week was really tough. Whatever we did didn't work. Versus, oh, not 2 weeks ago, back when we did blah, 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 my score was a lot higher.
Yeah. So in the past, which I know that is definitely like comparing apples to oranges to what we're doing right now. But in the past, I would have the kids reflect after taking a progress monitor or taking, their winter fast bridge or whatever, even the weekly data for the goals. And I would have them look back at, before we start, I would say, okay, this is what you got last time. We're going to try our hardest to get more, do better, get higher. Okay, so they have that pre-understanding. We do the activity. If they do, then it's celebration. We make a huge deal about it. We compare it. If they don't, then we sit together and we think, okay, what could be causing us to not perform as well today? How are you feeling? How was your morning? How was last night? That kind of thing. And to let them know, I think it's important for them to know that just because they did not perform academically where I wanted them to or where we discussed, doesn't mean that they're failing, doesn't mean necessarily anything negative. They need to understand just as much as we understand that outside factors affect your learning. So if you had a rough morning, then it's going to make sense that you didn't do very well when we did our testing in the afternoon or whatever. I'm sorry, my son just turned on the robot vacuum.
That's okay. Your son's cleaning your house for you. I wouldn't complain. That's fantastic. He can
So,
come visit me too.
That's how I would handle it in the past. And I would like to say that that's how I would be able to handle it now virtually as well. Still have that reflection piece. But I don't know until I try. So it'll be interesting to see how the kids react and are still, if they're still going to be engaged with it, if they're still going to be accepting to their own performance and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, so that reflection piece in the past oh, sorry, we cut out.
I did write that question down so that when I do my next data points, I can remember to ask that question to myself and reflect with the kids.
So that's something you want to take away and continue on for next time, is this idea of drawing them into the reflection. And that will certainly be something that the next time we get together, especially if I know you're doing your internship as well, but if you do get a chance to peek in on that course, I have a hunch you might make some connections there. So just like you and I, every time we leave, we'll leave with a plan and some do's. Like last time we're going to work on engagement, and here are some things you're going to do. And now today we got to see how that went. That's that reflection piece you're talking about. I hear you mimicking those conversations with your own kids, students.
Where do I check? Where do I look for the course? Like, do I go in KickUp to look for the course materials?
Correct. Yep. The link to the Google site is in KickUp.
Okay.
But if for any reason you have trouble, let me know. I can send it to you.
Okay. Link to Google site. And I put in my calendar, let me look. I put in my calendar that specialized instruction, high performance teams online was from 11/2 to 1/29.
Correct.
But then you said something about March.
So the data systems course. So that
different things.
They are two different things. Yes.
Okay.
So they're two different courses. And when I looked, I think you're signed up for, let me see. I can hop into KickUp. I went through last week and emailed everybody what I could.
I only signed up for the high performing teams.
Okay. I should have sent you an email then last week.
Well, I can just pull up KickUp right now and
I'm hopping in there myself. Let's see. You might be there a little faster, but we'll see. Come on.
Hey, Weston, can you turn that off? Can you turn it off? Yeah, turn it off. Thank you. Now leave it alone.
Yep. You're correct. You have signed up for the High Performing Teams course.
Okay. No.
Let me look and see. You know what? It's stuck in my outbox. I have an email drafted to you.
Okay.
But I'm going to hit send again. All right, I just sent it to you. So there's a link to the Classroom Learning Systems. I'm glad you said that. It was right here, but it was stuck in the outbox.
Okay. That's all right.
So you're probably going, Mary Lowe, what are you talking about? I think we probably discussed it weeks ago, but it helps if you have access to the course itself. So that's helpful. Let me know if you need
no, I did get it.
There was an email sent a while ago.
Oh,
and then I just forwarded it to you.
I see what you're saying.
But the forwarded one got stuck in the outbox.
Classroom Learning Systems badge data systems is the other one I need to sign up for.
Correct. And that's the one that's going to align so closely to what you're working on with your data folders.
Okay, perfect.
All righty, ma'am.
Registering for that right now.
Awesome.
So that's done. Okay.
Okay.
Is there going to be like, sorry, he's having a little bit of a meltdown.
That's okay.
Is there going to be emails sent like when certain things are due?
That's up to each course facilitator.
Okay.
And so I'm not facilitating those courses, so I can't speak to that 100%.
Okay. I hope so, because I just don't want to miss anything.
Well, that's why I'm here. So also, that's why I said before we leave today, let's make sure we have another date on the calendar, and we'll just keep checking in on courses and seeing how things are going.
Perfect.
So that's what I'm going to pull up right now.
And I want to say we maybe already have one, but I'm not 100%.
We have them all the way through May. We were good.
That's what I thought.
Yep, we're good. December 2nd is our next check-in. Okay,
and it's at that 9 a.m. time. Can we change that?
Sure.
Because I have kids.
Okay, so that's switched. Can you tell me what is, so 11:30 is a good time?
Yes.
And what other times? Or just 11:30?
11:30 to 12:15 or 2:15 to 2:45.
Okay. Yep, I will go through and look at those dates and make sure it works. And if not, we'll alter them if that works.
Okay,
to make those times. Because
that's perfect.
We put all of them at 9, so we'll switch that up.
We did.
Not a problem.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so between now and December 2nd, hopefully at 11:30 or 2:15, I have down that you are going to continue to work on your engagement strategies with a focus on the modeling pieces. Utilizing them is a good.
Stop. Where's your binky? Thank you. Engagement strategy.
Sorry, you froze up on me. I can hear you though.
Is it good?
It's catching up. I can still hear you. There you are. I think you're back. So the idea being some of that explicit instruction on modeling. Data folders specific to the reflection pieces. You're just going to play with that. You can access the data systems course at any time to help support some of your thinking. And that's what we'll focus on the next time around.
All right.
Is there anything I can do for you between now and then?
I don't think so.
Well, you know where to find me.
Just going to keep everything written down so I don't miss anything between teaching and internship and these courses. It's a lot.
You've got a lot going on. So remember, especially with the courses, we've got time. So even if it's something that you want to just try to touch just take a glance at before, like December 1st. Then we
Yeah.
can talk about it more on the 2nd, and
Well, and I graduate December 19th. So that's going to help, give me that, get that off my plate and then still have this to focus on. So that'll work out pretty well.
Absolutely. So I only bring up the data systems because you're going there with the work you're already doing. But if you need to put high performing teams as first, because that's due first,
right,
we'll do that. That makes sense. So we'll totally be flexible. I just want to make life easier, not harder.
Right.
Right, Weston?
That's what we need, right, Weston?
Hey, bud. I hope you feel better.
Say thanks. Say sorry I was being so loud. Yeah.
Oh, it's fun. I miss those sounds. Never thought I'd say it, but I do.
It is fun. I'm not gonna lie. I like having him here and all the extra time, but it just breaks my heart when I look at his little bum or his hands, and it's just they're so bad.
Buddy.
So
You gotta get better, bud.
And apparently, I didn't know this. I've learned about hand, foot, and mouth before, but apparently, excessive drooling is a part of hand, foot, and mouth. So, I mean, it's just like a faucet all the time.
Bibs.
Oh my gosh. So it's been fun.
Good luck. Good luck on many reasons. But if there's anything I can do, you let me know. Otherwise, take care, Weston. Bye, buddy.
All right. Say bye-bye.
Feel better.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.